I'll try it again from the beginning and be like, awesome, is this Sarah? Yes, it's Sarah. My name's Hayden, Sarah, VO Med Spa, I'm patient coordinator here. Reason for the call today is I saw that you claimed a $10 per unit special with us here at VO Med Spa, and I wanted to ask you a couple questions to see if this treatment even makes sense for you. You have 30 seconds. So that's a really good one. I wanted to ask you a couple questions to see if this treatment even makes sense for you. Do you have 30 seconds? Or to see if you're a good fit for this treatment, however you want to word that. See if you're a good fit, to see if this treatment makes sense for you. That's the starting point that we want. And so you guys have that first line, like it sets the whole rest of the conversation up for success. Like, I don't even recommend you guys memorize the script word for word, as long as you have the first point really dialed in, because from there you ask questions to make sure that you identify the problem and the need. So maybe my first question is, hey, like, what made you claim this offer in the first place? Or have you ever tried Botox before? Or this or that, right? And so the first question, typically, we want to ask a question about their need or about their problem. So another good first question would be, what are your areas of concern? Like, is it your wrinkles? Is it crow's feet? Like, what are you trying to solve with Botox, right? First question, ask about them. They say, oh, you know what? I have these frown lines, or I have this crow's feet that I really want to get rid of. Then you can go into the second question. How many times have you had this treatment, right? And so this is a pivotal point in the conversation, because if you know they've had if you know that they've had the treatment at least like over one time, then they're already well educated on Botox for the most part, or else they should be, right? If they've already had the treatment. So then you kind of take the conversation a different way based on that. But if they say they've never had it, then you can ask the next question and the next question. And it should be really like 3 to 4 questions to try to identify their problem. And then once you finish asking the questions, that's when you guys provide the solution, right? That's when you guys say, awesome, well, perfect. Based on everything you just told me, I think you'd be a good fit to come in for a consultation with one of our injectors. Sarah's one of our injectors here. She does an amazing job. You can definitely go ahead and check out our Instagram too before you come in for the consultation, just to get even more, case studies about our before and afters and the great work that she does. So looking at our schedule right now, I have Thursday or Friday open at 2 p.m. Which one works better for you, right? And so after you ask the right questions, you transition it into perfect. Based on everything you told me, it seems like you'd be a good fit to come in for a consultation with one of our injectors. I have Thursday or Friday. So you always want to provide 2 times. Don't ask what time works best for them. That way you guys can put them in the schedule where you want to put them in the schedule too, which also helps. So give them 2 different times, maybe a morning and an afternoon on both days, whatever works best for you guys. And then, for example, right, we get the feeling sometimes that someone that's had Botox, let's say 6 times or 7 times, may be shopping around, right? It's a very big possibility that they could be shopping around. So if I ask the question, have you ever had a Botox treatment before? And they give me an answer like 6, what is the next question that we should ask?
Have you been happy with the results? Or when was the last time you had it done?
What'd you say, Lindsay?
Were you happy with your results?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I was gonna say something of that nature is saying like, oh, okay, so you've had Botox like six times. That's awesome. Why aren't you still going to that injector that you got your past Botox from, or how are those results? What did that look like? And so again, asking the right questions to open up about their pain points. So now the conversation isn't all about price point. It's not all about how much does it cost. It's not all about this. Like, you have a genuine conversation with a lead where you ask about their needs and their wants, and it's actually about them. It's not about how great your med spa is. That's when conversions can go way higher, right? And the reason I say the starting point to the conversation, going back to the first line, is so important, is because you can use that if leads are calling in, or if a lead tries to take over the conversation right away and ask about price or anything like that. You can go back saying, hey, yeah, no worries. We can get the price later on in the conversation. I just need about 30 seconds to ask you a couple questions to see if this treatment even makes sense for you. Is that okay? Right? Does that sound good? And so if they're asking about price right away, or they're asking about certain questions right away, you say, yeah, no worries. We can answer those later on. I just want to make sure that this is a good fit for you. Right? And so that's why the beginning of the conversation is so great, because no matter what question they ask you in the beginning, you can always fall back to that beginning, go through the questions that you need to ask. And then who knows, you probably answered a lot of their objections during those questions that you asked them.
Any other concerns? So we'll slow down, make sure we're careful with our members, and find a better cadence with our members. We also probably need to prepare our staff. The more calls you do, the more texts you do, we're gonna get mean people, and that's how people are.
Mhm.
And just like being able to audit phone calls, it's just like the main thing we need to focus on is the beginning of that conversation, because it will set you guys up for success. If you want to memorize one thing, just memorize the first couple things you say to the guest, which is, hey, is it Sarah? She says, yes. Go, awesome, Sarah. Reason for the call today. I'm actually the patient coordinator here at VO Med Spa. I see that you claimed a $10 per unit Botox special, and I just wanted to ask you a couple questions to see if this treatment even makes sense for you. Do you have 30 seconds? Right? And the tonality, how you say it, just focus on that. And that will dramatically help your guys' conversion rate, because then you're in charge of the conversation, you ask the right questions, and then you can kind of manipulate it to however you want. That's pretty much that. Instead of saying, hey, are you still interested? Because it's really easy for them to say no, right? Or, hey, do you have any questions for us? Which is really easy for them to just ask about price right away. So it's not that that's like, I can't say that that's like terrible to do, because everyone was kind of trained like that. And I get on calls all the time where I have to change people's process. But it's way easier for a lead to opt out at that point. It's way easier for a lead to start asking just about price, and then asking you questions, and then vetting you when you guys aren't the provider. You're not the one supposed to be answering these technical questions or anything like that. Your guys' job is to get them scheduled. So again, saying that you're the patient coordinator, or however you guys want to phrase that, and then always going back that I want to ask you a couple questions to see if this even makes sense for you. Like, that's the best way you can start. Because if somebody calls, or let's just say calls in, and you guys feel flustered or anything like that, and they're like, hey, what's the price? Can you tell me the price of Botox? Hey, yeah, no worries. We can definitely get the price. The first thing I'm going to need to do, though, is ask you a couple questions to see if this treatment even makes sense for you. You have like 30 seconds, and then we can get into any questions you may have.
So let's just do a team action item here, including me and John, that we all do role plays and grade each other based off of the script they're going to send us until we get it really good. And then obviously we're not going to be like, let's get it perfect ourselves first before we get the staff doing it.
Mhm.
Let's all, this week, number one focus, leadership team, is that we're almost as good as Hayden. Anybody feeling a little sassy? Maybe
I'm not that good.
right? And then Jess, and maybe we can role play with Jess. Like, I know you're really busy, but if you have time and practice, and then next week on this call, well, it's kind of embarrassing with Aaron staring at us. So we'll do one-on-ones. Jess, just let me know how much time you have. It won't take
Yeah,
too
for sure. And something you can do too, like I used to answer the phone at VO. I know that a conversation can like go south or get messed up, or you'll stumble over your words sometimes, like that happens. So I'm super understanding. If you guys want to record your calls, just like I record it on my phone, and then send them to me, I can even review them. And I'm not gonna like judge you if you messed up. Don't delete the ones you guys messed up. We can still like make a plan and like, figure out how to deliver it better. Because I was in your guys' shoes as well. Like I could say it perfect 100 times and mess up 3 times. You know what I mean? And just every single lead is different. So it'd be really beneficial to just like record them. You can click speakerphone and just let me hear the process and kind of what's going on. But as you get more calls, it will evolve. Like everybody's different. So it's really cool. But that first sentence is awesome.
Yeah.
As
And
long as you stick to that.
one of the things I'll say is like, one of our core values at our company is consistency compounds. And it's like the only true thing in life. You want to get better at anything, or you want to lose weight, for an example, the only thing that you can do is be consistent with like your diet and exercising, right? In order to get that outcome. So if we're not practicing script, or we're not practicing sales at least like once a week, how are we expected to get better at it? It's just not going to happen. So the thing is, I don't want you guys to memorize word for word a script. Like, I want you guys to be able to take the foundational elements. The one thing I would love for you guys to do is that first sentence. It's so important, and it's going to make everything easier and increase your guys' conversion. So if you could just focus on one thing, is that, and then you can have common questions for each treatment, just print it out on the desk, and those are the questions that you go off of, right? And so it's introduction, ask the right questions, and then say, perfect, based on everything you just told me, I think you'd be a great fit to come in for a consultation with one of our, lead injectors. I have Friday at this time or Tuesday at this time. And then if they ask about price, like, okay, yeah, I don't want to book until, I have Price, what is the price? Yeah, awesome, great question. So we have, Botox treatment starting as low as 300 and as much as 1,500. It really just depends on your specific needs. So that's why a consultation is necessary, right?
There's one,
And this is kind of just extra information, but just kind of to prove this whole theory and point as well. It even works for me. I've used it through text. So I'll text them and I'll say, hey, what are your biggest skin concerns? Question mark. Acne, aging, pigmentation. They'll answer. They always respond. They say acne. And then I say, awesome. Well, do you have 30 seconds where we could jump on a call and see if this is good for you? Like it works every time, even through text. Like that's how good this starting question is. So I mean, it just kind of proves it. The phone calls are great. If you can't get a hold of somebody, it's even a great starting question that way as well. But it gets people hooked and interested.
Yeah, and think about this too, just the psychology of it. This is the first time they're hearing about your guys' brand, right? This is a new lead that claimed an offer because they're interested in it. And this is the first time they're hearing about you guys. So to ask them for a booking right away or anything like that, they don't trust you enough. There hasn't been a good enough conversation. So if you ask about them, everyone loves talking about themselves. It's just a fact. So you ask them questions about them, about their concerns, their goals, what they want to accomplish, much more likely to convert that into a person. And they're going to start asking about you, whoever made the phone call when they come in, because they had such a good experience with you on the phone, right? And so